I'm Dr Georgina Downey, Visiting Research Fellow in Art History from the University of Adelaide. And I'm also a dressage rider, and this is my horse Classic that we see behind us. My first impressions were that I think we all need to be incredibly grateful to Nicki and Andrew and everyone involved for volunteering so many hundreds of hours of hard work, because I think this book will really pull together a lot of things about Tom Roberts' teaching, that it will make it easier internationally for people to access his ideas. Then people will want to read The Horse Control and the Bit, The Horse Control and the Young Horse, Roberts' reminiscences, to get a sense of his own voice. So I'm hoping that this book will encourage people both back to more humane equitation, that was like Tom Roberts' whole mission and philosophy, but also back to his own works, which were self-published. And I'm especially grateful to Julie Fielder, Executive Director of Horses Say, because it's given me a chance to do almost a full circle in my life with horses. Because when I was 15, I got my first horse, and it was the worst possible choice. He wasn't a gentle and appropriate schoolmaster like Classic. He was a 2-year-old just backed Anglo-Arab. And I come from a very non-horsey family background, and we were living in Tea Tree Gully, and Ozzy was kept at a farm in Golden Grove. And I had no idea what I was doing, and I got a copy. I went down to Bonnet's when they were in Rundle Street. I went down to Bonnet's and I got my own copy of Tom Roberts' Horse Control and the Young Horse. And I also got a big A3 scrapbook. And because I had no one guiding me, I had no instructors, I'd never owned a young horse before, I had no one looking over my shoulder, I was still a child technically. I would read a chapter of Tom, and then I would go over to Golden Grove and I would do the exercises from whatever chapter I was reading with my young horse, and then I would go home to my bedroom at night and I would paste in photographs, and I would always write up how the session went and in what ways Tom had helped or been right or wrong. And this went on for 2 years until I was 17, and Ozzy was moved on to a very nice local lass as a show horse, and it's largely thanks to Tom Roberts and luck that I'm still here to tell the tale, and he turned out okay. So I'm really, really grateful to be asked to talk about the book. My other impressions are that it's a very deferential, it's a very respectful view of Tom. One of my favourite chapters is the marriage chapter, the second marriage chapter, which I think is written beautifully, and that's Nicki's work. I like the way Andrew links Tom Roberts' theories to new findings in equine science, to operant conditioning, positive and negative reinforcement, to Andrew McLean's own training methods. But one of the things that came out of the book that interested me most, I think, was and I'm coming very much from an academic in the humanities viewpoint here, was the way Tom Roberts was a man. A man born in 1900 whose life pretty much took up the 20th century, because he lived for a very long time. And I think this is one of the second most important contributions that he's made, along with the kind training of horses. Is that he himself was a very gentle man, and although he got most of his knowledge about horsebreaking from the army, from being a rough rider, which you would imagine would be like quite a butch and a macho environment, Roberts didn't reflect any of that in his approach to horses. He performed his masculinity, which is about control and dominance, in a very different and very interesting way, and horses sort of picked up on that, in that his famous saying, "It will profit you, it will profit you not," is a very gentle way of saying no to a horse. There's a better way of doing it, you should be doing it this way. So, I mean, I don't want to get too much into the gender politics of Tom Roberts. That's not his great contribution to the world. It's in how to train horses and how to solve problems with horses. But I think his life is testament to the fact that if you want to be a really great horse master, you have to have a lot of EQ, or emotional intelligence. And I think some of us in the horse world kind of forget this. There's this myth that the people who are best with horses don't really get along well with people. But I'm really convinced after reading this book that the people who are world famous over centuries, from Xenophon to Alois Podasky of the riding school to Tom to other really famous horse masters, is that they were able to emotionally manage themselves in relationship to other humans and in their relationships. Their relationships fade into the background. They're so successful that enables them to focus on horses. They don't have massive fallings out with people. They're very sensitive. They're able to read cues and situations very well. They actually have high EQ, which spills over into how they read horses. So the idea of the somewhat sort of Asperger's autistic horse person who can only understand horses, I think is a bit of a myth, and Tom's life really shows that up. I think everyone should buy this book. I think it's an absolute must-have in the library of every horse person, and it was the most enormous pleasure reading it and rereading it over again to talk about it today. Thank you very much.